Good morning and welcome into the show today, everybody, here at the Steven Singer Studios. My name is Marc Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show. Thanks for joining us. We got a lot to get to today. First and foremost today, our guest, Hugh Lamont Douglas III. He is on today's program. No Hugh's Day yesterday on Tuesday, but we will have a Hugh Douglas Wednesday. Wednesday? I don't know, but it's today. So we're going to talk to Hugh. He's, of course, in Atlanta, as most of our regulars know. And he is in Atlanta covering all things Atlanta Hawks. That's right. The former Eagle is doing a morning show in Atlanta. He's been for some years now. So we're going to talk to him to see just how the Atlanta Hawks fans are feeling about this particular series as it stands right now, tied 2 games apiece, back in Philadelphia tonight, 7:30 tip-off. Joel Embiid, will he be healthy? Will he not be healthy? Will he be in shape? Will he not be in shape? Clint Capella, will he wear him down? Will he not wear him down? Will Ben Simmons shoot more than one shot in the second half? All that stuff that we'll go through, all that and more, coming up with Hugh Douglas in a minute. And today is game day. Make no mistake about it. And yesterday, I had all the confidence in the world that this team is still going to win this series. And today, I have all the confidence in the world that this team is going to still win this series. But there's something about game day that's like, all right, all the BS goes out the window. Will Joel Embiid have it tonight? Will our Sixers be able to hit shots from the outside? Will they be able to close out a game strong? If they start out strong, will they be able to close it out? If they start poorly and Atlanta comes out firing all cylinders like they did in game 1, will the Sixers be able to rebound? I still say to all that, yes. This is the 76ers series to lose. And if you look at the way that the Brooklyn Nets played their game last night, and James Harden playing that game, and he was healthy. That's how other players step up. Jeff Green, for instance, going out there last night and dropping 27 points for the Brooklyn Nets last night, hitting 7 threes for the Nets last night. Yeah, who's going to be that guy for the Sixers? Who's going to be the Kevin Durant for the Sixers? Not to the tune of 49 points and playing every single minute. But who's going to be that guy that no matter what you can rely on? Who's going to be the guy that you know can step up? And then after that, who's going to be second in command? If you're going to have an alpha, who's going to be the beta, so to speak? And that's what you got to find out in a game like tonight. You're tied in the series, 2 games apiece. You certainly know you want to go into Atlanta and just wrap it up because you don't want this to go 7 games. You want as much rest as possible for a guy like Joel Embiid. You want as much rest as possible for everybody. Like, everyone would like to be the Phoenix Suns right now and kick their feet up and say, all right, I guess we'll wait to see who our opponent's going to be. But everyone doesn't have that luxury. But it's still a matter of getting that luxury as soon as humanly possible. So go out, and my prediction, I'll give it to you right out of the gate here. My prediction for tonight is that 76ers not only win, but they also cover. We'll get more of that in our big bet segment coming up by DraftKings in a second. And a lot of bets I got in on last night, as a matter of fact, and a bet I'll get in on tonight. But it really comes down for me to be the same thing that we talked about yesterday. And I am only concerned about the rest of this series if Joel Embiid isn't healthy. And yesterday, Doc Rivers addressed the media, where he said, obviously, they're not going to put Joel Embiid out there if he's not, if he's not healthy. If he can't go, they're not going to play him. And that's why when we got into the conversation yesterday with John Gonzalez, I just threw it out there saying, well, are they going to give him a day off? And it's not even a matter of a day off. It's just a matter of he's not healthy enough to play. Of course, they're not just going to say, well, why don't you take a break and we'll try to wrap up this little game 5 without you. Yeah, that's not happening. But if he's not healthy enough to play, that's where I start to get concerned, because now you're down 2 starters against a good basketball team. And I never ever looked at the Hawks and said that they were a bad basketball team or that they were overrated or didn't belong to be in the second round of the playoffs or anything like that. I expected them to be good in this series. I just didn't expect them to be this good in this series. And I certainly didn't expect the Sixers to play probably what amounts to the worst 3 quarters of basketball we have seen them play this entire year, even dating through the regular season. As bad as they played in the first quarter of game 1, and as terrible as almost brand embarrassing basketball that they played in the second half of game 4 in Atlanta. So all that needs to change. So how do you change it going into tonight? Number 1 is obviously revolving, as I've said many, many times already, Joel Embiid, his health. if it's down to his conditioning, which I don't think that's what it was. I think it was more of a health thing. I think he tweaked something in his knee that really bothered him. And he more or less alluded to that after the game. He more or less said it after the game, saying that he couldn't jump to throw down that what maybe would have been the game-tying dunk. Instead, he missed a game-winning dunk. Instead, he missed a game-winning or at least lead-taking layup. And he said he couldn't jump. And he was alluding to the knee when he said it. The second thing I need in this game, and I almost feel weird even asking because I feel like we're going to get it no matter what. Tobias Harris, 20 points. If Tobias Harris can go off and get you another 25, 30 points for you, all right, great. Not expecting it, but I'd love to see it. The third thing I'm expecting tonight, and I need to see tonight, revolves around the world that is Ben Simmons. I don't need a remorseful Ben Simmons 3 hours after tip-off. 3.5 hours after tip-off when he's addressing the media, and they say, hey, Ben, why weren't you more aggressive? And then he goes, oh, yeah, you know what? I could have totally been more aggressive. Why wasn't I more aggressive? That's so stupid. Why wasn't I more aggressive? That's crazy me. That's what happened after the last game. That's what happened after game 4. Yeah, I probably should have been more aggressive. You think? It's undeniable to me that Ben Simmons goes from aggressive to timid in the flip of a switch. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Oh, the second half, Ben Simmons. Oh, well, wow, when he took over. Oh, it's funny how when Ben took over, that's when it went from being a great game to a blowout. Ben Simmons has that ability. He is the man that is the maestro of the offense. He is the conductor of this offense. When he really starts clicking and becomes aggressive, there's really no telling how high this offense can fly. And it goes beyond Joel Embiid making scoring points for you, or Tobias Harris, or even Seth Curry hitting shots from the outside for you. It really comes down to Ben Simmons being aggressive, people collapsing on him then kicking the ball out to an open Seth Curry who can knock down a 3, him kicking it out to Joel Embiid maybe who can knock down a 3, or how about this? Joel Embiid, if he is lagging a little bit tonight, how about you see more plays where he's at the top of the key? Joel Embiid is at the top of the key, or at the foul line extended, and Ben Simmons goes down to the block to work some of his magic. Because one thing I will say about the Kevin Durant performance from last night and what you could see tonight from the Sixers is you need your guys to play. And of all the guys on this squad, the one guy I really have confidence in being able to play every single second of the 48 minutes to take to play this game tonight, it's Ben Simmons. I always say that if the NBA wanted to make the regular season 100 games, Ben Simmons wouldn't break a sweat. I got you. And he can play every night, every minute, every second of those games. He can do the same thing tonight, and you might need him to do that. Because if the Hawks really do start to get it going from the outside, and the Hawks take advantage of shots that they're left open for, unlike they did against the Sixers in Game 4 of this series, because you remember they started out ice cold. They weren't able to take advantage of open shots. And they certainly shot the worst they have shot pretty much all season long. There's only 3 other instances other than Game 4 of this series where the Atlanta Hawks shot less than 37% from the floor. One other time was in the regular season against the Sixers. So the Sixers might not get that lucky again, where they shoot that horribly. And not just on well-defended shots. I'm talking about open shots. And they certainly got open looks in Game 4. But if the Sixers allow them to start knocking down those shots early, you're going to need somebody to respond. And you're going to need someone to stay in this game and try to take out Trae Young. Not take him out of the game or anything like that, but just in terms of take him off his game, where he's going to need another night where he's got to shoot 25 shots just to get 25 points. You're going to need that type of performance defensively from Ben Simmons. So if that's the type of night that we're actually going to be witnessing tonight, then you're going to need Ben Simmons to step up on both ends of the court, both defensively, like he has pretty much the entire series, like he has pretty much the entire time he's been on Trae Young since after Game 1. But you're going to need him to step up defensively. That's what you can hang your hat on. And then you're also going to need him to step up offensively in terms of being a scorer in this offense. What I'd love to see, ideally, second half of Game 3, that's the Ben Simmons I need. Got to come into the second half and get you 14 points. Got to finish with 18. Like, that's a really good scoring night for Ben Simmons. If he can give you even more, let's get greedy. But somebody is going to need to step up tonight in case this is a serious thing with Joel Embiid, in case this is something that Joel Embiid is trying to gut through even more so than we anticipated. If it's a conditioning thing, then I don't know how he gets in better shape from Monday to tonight. If it's a knee thing, Maybe a day of just relaxation, maybe a day of staying off the knee. Maybe that's a day that he needed to try to get back to 100%, well, as close to 100% as he could possibly be. But tonight, all the BS goes out the window, and all that really comes down to is whether or not your big three are going to step up and knock down shots for you. Are you going to step up and actually prevent shots from being knocked down for the Atlanta Hawks? It comes down to Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons. Outside of that, without Danny Green, who I have certainly not exactly given compliments to throughout this series, still it's undeniable about what he gives you defensively speaking. Offensively, left a lot to be desired so far in this series and really throughout the playoffs. But this particular series, defensively, I think you needed as many good defenders on the floor as possible. I'll also be interested to see what Doc Rivers does with the starting five with Furkan Korkmaz if he decides to stay with Furky in the starting five. So Matisse Thybulle can come off the bench and guard Trae Young to attempt to spell Ben Simmons a couple of minutes. Here's where I'm at on this. When it comes to Tease versus Furky, I got to say, if you're the better team, put your best starting five on the floor. And you tell the Atlanta Hawks, deal with it. You adjust to us. And that's why I always preferred to have a better defender in the starting lineup here than I did a shooter. Seth Curry is your shooter in this regard. Ben Simmons can have people collapse on him when he's driving the lane. Joel Embiid can certainly handle himself on the low post. You have Tobias Harris that can hit shots from the mid-range game with great consistency. You have guys that can help you spread the floor. Furkan Korkmaz, and I'm not saying, and there's no disrespect to Furkan Korkmaz, I just don't think he's one of the best five on this team. And if you have an opportunity to have somebody else come in that plays the same spot, you got to let him go out there and play. Put your best five out to start out the game and see where it goes from there. Furkan Korkmaz, I could certainly do without. Off the bench, secondary scoring, yeah, let's party. But when it comes to actually being a starter on this team, taking over for Danny Green, thanks, but no thanks. I would go with Matisse Thybulle in this next game. It's the only other adjustment I would make with strategy if I'm Doc Rivers. So we'll see how that plays out tonight. I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait for it. I'm picking the Sixers to win. I can't believe I missed this. This is a tease, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta get to this tease. The Phillies wrap up their series with the Dodgers tonight. I believe it's another 10-10 start time. Zach Wheeler's on the bump. And then they go to San Francisco. And it's not just any other game or series. It's going to be on a little thing called Peacock. Now, Peacock is mostly known nowadays for having The Office. That's where it went from Netflix to Peacock, all right? That's the NBC thing. In honor of that, ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves in the comment section, by the way, on our YouTube, and subscribe if you haven't already. I will do a solid, borderline, you will think a peacock is in the room impression of a peacock. That's right. Have you not heard a peacock? If you haven't, I will provide the single greatest impression of a peacock in honor of the Phillies being on Peacock for their series against the Giants. That's right. You heard it here first, folks. I'm going to do an impression of a peacock. I've done it on the radio in my days on the radio to great success. People have really enjoyed it. So I will do my impression of a peacock as well as a backstory as to why I can do such an amazing impression of a peacock. No feathers involved. There'll be no beautiful array of feathers behind me, so don't get your hopes up for that. This will be strictly audio impression of a peacock. You are welcome. When I told our producer, Jim Hyden, this before the show, I said, hey, Jim, brace yourself. I'm going to do an impression of a peacock. He said, by golly, I don't know what it say. I don't know what a peacock sounds like. And I said, well, you're about to. So you just wait. After we roll this little interview we're going to do with Hugh Douglas, I'm going to go ahead and do an impression of a peacock. We're also going to give you our morning rush, as we always do, so we'll do that. And then we will go through even further how incredible that performance was from Kevin Durant last night. If you didn't watch that game, and I have really watched more NBA playoffs, I don't know what it is about this year's version of the NBA playoffs, maybe because I missed it so much last year because it was the bubble and the Sixers getting bounced out in the first round just put me in a bad mood for the rest of the NBA playoffs. But this year's NBA playoffs have been amazing. Some of the best performances we have really ever seen. Some dominant performances we have certainly seen so far throughout the playoffs. And Kevin Durant took the taco, pal. Last night, took the taco with an incredible. I will say this before I before we hear from Hugh, last night, Kevin Durant scored 49 points in 48 minutes. He's the first player to score 49 and play every minute of the game since 1973, when John Havlicek did it for the Boston Celtics. Since 1973. When I think of John Havlicek, first thing I think of is Havlicek steals the ball. Like, that's the first thing I think of. And that is the most old school vintage radio soundbite you can hear in sports almost. It's one of those things that just echoes in my brain, even though I wasn't born for another, God, what year was that? 1963, maybe? 64? I'll look it up. I was like negative 18, 20 years old, something like that. Yeah, negative 19 years old if that was 1963. Anyway, so that's how long it's been since somebody did that. And Kevin Durant was just on fire last night. We'll go through a couple of his shots that he had against the Bucks, as the Bucks appear to be in some trouble, because I don't think James Harden's going to have another 5-point performance as long as he's playing in this series. He certainly looked like a guy that was out of it, but we'll get more of that in a second. Right now, I want to tell you about my friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. My buddy's going there today. He's got a 10 o'clock appointment. Going to be looking at some of the engagement rings. How about that? But you got to check out Steven Singer if you haven't already. IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com, or check him out at the other corner of 8th and Walnut. Here's what you do. Go to IHateStevenSinger.com, make an appointment for yourself, and then mosey on down there. And they're going to take you in, and you're going to have a real jewelry expert walk you through everything. You know, because finding that special somebody in your life, to spend the rest of your life with, it's a great thing. But a lot of people hate all the pressure that comes along with it, and rightfully so. There's all the engagement talk. There's people talking about when are you going to get engaged? What kind of ring are you going to buy? How much are you going to spend on the ring? Oh, all that stuff. Everyone, well, hey, I got this guy. You got to get it. You got to haggle with him a little bit. No. There's no haggling at Steven Singer because everything's already set at the perfect price every single time. That's why guys really hate this guy, because he takes a lot of the pressure away, actually. And he takes a lot of the thing. He makes it so easy. Sometimes guys want an excuse. It's too complicated. I can't buy a ring yet. Steven Singer's got you. It's so easy. That's why so many guys hate Steven Singer, and other jewelers hate him too, because he just makes it so much fun. He makes it pressure-free. No pressure, no haggling every single time at Steven Singer Jewelers. He takes care of his customers with real jewelry experts. That's right, real jewelers, real people that are ready to help you find the perfect ring or gift at the perfect price. No call center, no sales, no haggling, no promo codes, no discounts, no nothing like that. Just every single time, every day, every minute he's open, he's taking care of his customers with the perfect price. So check out Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, guaranteeing fast and free shipping every single time at IHateStevenSinger.com, or the other corner of 8th and Walnut. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's go behind enemy lines, if you will. And let's go down to Atlanta and talk to our good friend Hugh Lamont Douglas III about all things, not just Hawks and Sixers and where this series goes from here, but also an NFL story that's out there in the news right now. And we'll also kick it around when it comes to this time in the calendar for an NFL player. They don't do anything stupid time in the NFL calendar. Without further ado, let's talk to our good friend Hugh Lamont Douglas III. And joining us now on the Zatos Investments guest line, our good friend on this happy Wednesday, Tuesday, Hugh Lamont Douglas III. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Let me just say this out of the gate before we get to any of that damn conversation about that Atlanta Hawks team that I'm sure is just your favorite team now. Anyway, the hair looks great. Did you get it trimmed?
It's starting to come in, man. It's coming in a little bit. I have to go to get one more treatment. They got to do the top. They got to do the back part now. I don't know if I want to get it done though, but I do kind of like the short hair look. It makes me, it makes me mysterious, and it grows a little bit. But still, Mark, it's still a little bit. The texture is a little bit different than it is on the side. It's still a little baby chickenish right now. It's got a little, I got a little, It's a little wet, but it's still a little baby chickenish. But it's coming along. It's coming along fine.
Baby chicken. Now, when you go back for the second treatment, does the same sales guy at the radio station get the same cut?
You know what? I do believe so.
You're a damn team player, Hugh Douglas.
Yeah,
You're a team player.
I took one for the team, Mark. I got to see it through.
You took like 1,000. I mean, you think about how many grafts that is.
2,500. Why since you want a number? Yeah, 2,500.
No, I was talking about the hair grafts. I wasn't talking about the money.
Yeah, the 2,500 hair graft. 2,500. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right, brother. So how excited is Atlanta right now? How excited are Hawks fans that you got the Sixers tied at 2 games apiece in the Eastern Conference semifinal?
Man, listen. Atlanta gets a bad rap for being a bad sports town. It really, really does. But the other night during that game in the third and fourth quarter, to hear that crowd through my television, man, that was bananas. That was bananas. When you like Marc, you talk about, and it's funny, right? Because my co-host and my producers and everything, Abe and Orrin and John Fricky on 92.90 Game Morning Show, we text throughout every game.
Okay.
So to see or to look at the range of emotions that they went through from the beginning of that game, when the Sixers looked like they were about to run away with it, to where John Collins is not having a great night. Trae Young isn't having a great night. Nobody shooting is having a great night. For them to go through that and then to get to that third quarter and to see them start to, fight through that. John Collins starting to yam. He gets a couple of big monster dunks and everything like that. To see the range of emotions, man, that people go through, and then to see it swell up into that raucous crowd that was towards the end of the game, it was phenomenal. It was just phenomenal to see. Kind of made me feel like I was in Philadelphia a little bit. I mean, seriously, it did. I mean,
wow.
But it's like, in Philly, it's like that from beginning to the end. So I mean, hey, shout out to the Hawks fans, man. Shout out to everybody here, because I was impressed. I was impressed the other night.
Now, let me ask you this. Did anybody in the second quarter of Game 4 cheer when Joel Embiid left the floor and got checked out in the back? Because I know that's a thing now in Atlanta. We cheer people getting injured.
Man, come on now. Because Joel Embiid, this is the thing. Joel Embiid has been a force in this playoff series. You're talking about the first 2 games, 79 points, 39 and 40, respectfully. And to have him off the court because you couldn't do anything with him, yes, people cheered. And it's like, and you know what's funny? My co-host, he's the greatest guy in the world, but he was like, well, I kind of want him to be healthy. The hell if you do.
What?
Because I want to play against the best. I said, listen, man, I understand your sentiment, and I understand that we are in a situation where, even though we're in the top 10 as far as media markets are concerned, as far as sports are concerned, like I said, Atlanta gets a bad rap. It's not like Philadelphia. It's definitely not like Philadelphia. So you want to get your props and you want to get your street cred. Hey, man, take it how it comes. For real.
In all honesty, I mean, obviously I want Joel Embiid to be healthy, but hey, look, Trae Young has the shoulder injury. I have never once looked at the opposing team to the team I was rooting for and thought, man, you know what? I wish they were better. No, I always want them to be worse.
No, but how about this, though? So Trae Young has the shoulder injury. Nobody knows about the shoulder injury, Marc, here until he takes his warm-up off and they see the tape on his shoulder. Nobody knew. We get to talk to Travis Schlenk every week. So we asked Travis this morning, what is the protocol for that? What is the protocol? Because, being in the NFL, anytime I would go in the training room to get any kind of treatment on anything, they have to chart that. That's on the chart. Hey, Hugh Douglas came in and he got treatment on his knee. He got treatment on his neck or whatever. Even if it's something minor, you have to show up on the list. You have to show up on the list. So apparently, Trae got the tape on, or put the shoulder, had the shoulder injury, or got treated for it right before the game. So it was something that nobody knew anything about.
Wow.
And basically said that he didn't want it to be a hindrance, or he didn't want it to be an excuse. So, now he's on the injury report.
Obviously he didn't have the best shooting night. I mean, I believe he had a game high 25 points, but he had something like 26 shots to get the 25 points. Did he say anything after the game about that hampering him throughout the game?
He said he didn't want to use that as an excuse.
Okay.
As far as he went with that, he didn't say anything about it hurt my shooting or anything like that. He just said that he got dinged up in the last game, and that he didn't want that to be the focus of or the narrative of the story, I should say.
Okay. Now, I am not one to be afraid. I'm not one to be scared or anything like that. However, the series is now 2 games apiece. And the Sixers certainly pissed me off in Game 4 with how they played, and Joel Embiid going 0 for 12 in the second half, and that's the first time that's happened in a half of playoff basketball in 25 years.
25
that anybody's ever done that. So my only true concern, the only thing that really bothers me coming out of that game, because I think that's the worst we'll see the Sixers play in that particular game, in that half, more specifically. But when it comes to Joel Embiid, I'm mostly concerned about his health going forward.
Yeah.
Should I be more concerned, though, about the Hawks, that they can play a much better brand of basketball, or should I be more concerned about Joel Embiid's health?
Ooh, Marc, being a Philadelphian at heart, but living here in Atlanta, I have to be honest, and I think you should be worried about the Hawks more so than his health. And I'll tell you why. Let's break it down in terms that we both can understand, because we're, in our hearts, we're Philadelphians. Think of this as a Rocky fight. I mean,
okay.
That's a Rocky fight.
Sure.
And, in this sense, the Hawks are Rocky, and the Sixers are Clubber Lang.
Okay.
And they beat the brakes. Like, Clubber Lang beat the brakes off of Rocky. Like, when you talk about game 2, 3, and 2.5 quarters of 4, they beat the brakes off. I want to say something else. They beat the brakes off the Hawks. Mm-hmm. They physically pounded them, damn near into submission, especially the fourth game. Like, you talk about the start of that fourth game. If I can show you some of the tweets that were flying back and forth on my timeline when that game was going on. John Collins, they were killing John Collins, talking about he wasn't a max player. John Collins missed the easy bunny. He missed one at the hoop, was right there, missed it. They couldn't hit a broadside of a barn. And all you saw was just Ben Simmons out physical and Trey, pushing him around.
Right.
Joel Embiid doing his thing. And whatever happened, John Collins was the spark that ignited that. He hit a couple monster dunks, got the crowd into it. They got up off the mat and they got life. And they started punching back. They started counter punching. And the score was what? 100 and 103. 101 and 103, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And that's why you have a young team that is going up against the best team in the Eastern Conference. And they're taking their best shots and they're still standing. Like, I mean, that's no disrespect to the city of Philadelphia. I'm just calling it like I see it. So you need to be concerned about this young squad. And then the fact that you started Kevin Herter.
Yes.
Get it out. Yeah. You started Kevin Herter, and he was a big help going down the stretch. You got another shooter on the floor. So yeah, I would think that would be a major issue.
Yeah, and I agree. And to stick with your Rocky and Clubber Lang analogy, really what it comes down to is the fact that we're really at the point of Rocky 3 where Rocky's getting hit by Clubber Lang and Rocky keeps going, it ain't so bad. It ain't so bad.
Yeah, basically. I mean, seriously, that's what it is. But I tell you what, man, being in Philadelphia for so many years, that crowd is going to be loud and they're going to be into it. That's an intimidating factor. But on the flip side, Trey's been there before, and he's been in that crowd before. So it's going to be interesting to see. To me, Marc, to be honest, I think that the Hawks have exceeded expectations up until this point. They are a team that's here to stay, in my opinion. They're going to be around for a while.
Oh, I agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're going to be around for a while. So, here in Atlanta, the big thing is, why don't we get our just doing all this other stuff? I think you got that. I think whether or not it shows in the newspaper or anything like that right now, the Hawks and what Travis Slink has built so far, they look like a legit contender right now. Mm-hmm. They really.
No, they have. I'll say this: they have absolutely impressed me in this series. And you're right. If we were in Atlanta, if we here in Philadelphia were in Atlanta, we'd be looking at our team as, hey, we're the underdog. Nobody likes us. We don't care. That whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. If Joel Embiid is healthy and it was just a little tweak to the knee that hurt him and he couldn't go up there and make that final layup with 8 seconds left, that would have put the Sixers ahead and possibly been the game-winning layup. If he's okay, I still think this is the Sixers series to lose, no question about that. If he's not, that's where I'll actually go out and buy a dog because I will be so scared.
No, but listen, this is the thing. And you talk about the quick turnover. You talk about the flight back to Philly, and you talk about the game the next night. Like you don't have that much time to rest. The first couple times you play, you had a little bit more time in between that. Now, the rest thing is a huge factor. So, I mean, I hope he's healthy because I would like to see him out there and see what they do against him. But the Broad Street Bullies, man. I mean, they beat these little Hawks up. And you know what's funny? I was talking about it on the air the other day. Some of the problems that the Hawks have right now, only thing can fix them is the weight room. But they figured out a way to overcome some of those. Because you just can't, like, being just leaned on. Like when you saw with Dwight Howard, when he smushed John Collins under the paint, he just smushed him like a kid. He just like the guy smushed him. Yeah, so yeah. Some of those things, that only thing you can solve those problems is the weight room. That's the only thing that can solve those problems.
You watched The Last Dance, right, on ESPN?
Yes, I did. And
so
the height of the pandemic.
We all watched it.
We all watched it.
What else?
That's what they call a stupid question.
Fair. Totally fair. Who didn't watch The Last Dance? We were literally trapped inside.
Wondering what the hell's about to happen next.
What the hell was it? Oh, the Pistons. The Pistons and the Bulls. Like in this case, the Sixers and the Pistons.
Yes. Getting beat up.
Right. All right. So Trae Young will be in the weight room hopefully in a couple of days, and he'll be working out to next year. He'll be benching 105.
Yeah. Joel Embiid's coming. Ben Simmons coming. Because like say if they get past, say for instance, they get past the Sixers.
Yeah.
And they had to play Brooklyn. Kiss the baby. Like for real. Kiss the baby. I mean, because you like I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but if you get past the Sixers, I'm thinking it's gonna take a game 7.
Yeah.
It's gonna go 7.
Yeah.
You're gonna be physically beat up by the time you get there. So I mean, think about it. I know Brooklyn's beat up.
Sure.
They still got KD. KD. Wait a minute, is KD banged up? I know James Harden was banged up and Kyrie's banged up.
Right. At the time we're taping this, that game hasn't played yet, so we don't know if Harden played or not. He was going to test it before game time. Okay. Kyrie Irving's out, and KD is good to go. Kevin Durant's good to go.
Well, hell, he's the best player on the planet right now.
As long as PJ Tucker doesn't eat him alive.
Yeah, so yeah.
PJ Tucker might actually be Clubber Lang. I'm not sure.
Is that right? Oh yeah, because they were bucking. They were bucking a little bit. Yeah.
Hugh, let me just ask this to wrap up the conversation about the Hawks, because I think in a week, the next time we talk, the series
over. Yeah, it'd be Kiss the Baby. Yeah.
It'll kiss the baby.
Kiss the baby.
So how do you see this series playing out, Hugh Douglas?
You know what? I still have to lean towards the Sixers, because I'm a consistent person. I like to stay consistent. I don't want to be a flip-flopper number one. But I like what the Hawks have done. I like the fact that they played hard. They played tough. And put it like this. I'm leaning towards the Sixers, but would not be surprised if the Hawks figure out a way to win. Would not be surprised.
Okay. Fair enough, Hugh. Fair enough. I want to ask you this question here. I don't know if you saw this story about Vince Wilfork and his son.
No, I didn't.
So apparently, allegedly, Vince Wilfork's son stole both his Super Bowl rings and his Miami ring and a couple other pieces of memorabilia and sold it. And he was arrested. His son, DeAndre or something like that, he was arrested for doing that. And he apparently stole over $300,000 worth of materials. Now, my question to you is there anything you have from your career that is absolutely priceless to you? Like, is there something that you have, some piece of memorabilia, an NFC championship ring, whatever it might have been, anything from your career that you hold most valuable that you'd be most pissed off if all of a sudden you saw it on some memorabilia bidding site? Because that's the way Vince Wilfork found out about it.
I would say my NFC championship ring. I would say that. I I guess the other question I have, what's wrong with Vince Wilfork's son? I mean, like, is he dealing with something like some personal issues?
I looked. That didn't come up in the story. I just read the story. I think. What did I see? I think Yahoo had the story. Yahoo Sports had the story, and then it's been picked up by other publications. But it was picked up first in Texas. The I forget the name of the publication in Texas. I read a little bit of that story. I read all of the Yahoo story. But basically, what happened was Vince Wilfork was trying to move, and he was packing up everything, and he was like, "Hey, man, where's my rings at?" He didn't know where his rings were. He didn't know where some jewelry was. He didn't know where some cash was. And then all of a sudden, a couple of weeks later, somebody on a Patriots memorabilia site, like a fan, hit him up and was like, "Hey, Vince, I see your Super Bowl ring on this website. Are you okay?" Basically. And Vince Wilfork was like, "What are you talking about? That's missing. I don't know where that's been." And then they did some digging. The person that bought it for, I think, $62,000 said, "Oh, I bought it from this DeAndre Wilfork guy. I figure he's your son and it's fine." Well, it wasn't fine. So Vince Wilfork's son was arrested.
Well, I would probably say that's probably the best thing for him, because I would hate to see what Dad would do if Dad would have probably got handed. and you know what? I say this in all seriousness. I hope that I almost hope that he's dealing with something and that he needs to get help.
Right.
Because to be like, if my son was to do something like that's almost one of those ones that'll get you, cut out of the wheel. Seriously.
Yeah, right. No, I got you. And it's almost, I mean, I know you'd be pissed, but you'd be broken at the same time.
Like, that'll get you cut out the wheel, man. So and I hope that he's dealing with something and he gets the help that he needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything to that effect yet, but you're right.
That to me, Mark, sounds just weird. That just sounds crazy. That you would even, I don't know the relationship that he has with his father, but to do something like that, come on, man, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
All right, you gonna go watch Rocky 3 now?
Matter of fact, I'm gonna probably go watch some baseball. Red Sox.
Oh, that's right. Hey, by the way, how's everybody in Atlanta after the Phillies took a couple games there, 2 or 3 from the Braves?
You know what's funny? It's everybody's a little down.
Everybody hates Philly right now.
Oh, everybody, everybody's a little down. It's everybody has questions that they need to be answered. And right now the biggest thing here is this team a contender? And I would say 5 games out of first place, anything is possible. You know what's funny, Mark? We were talking about the beginning of the year, and I was like, could 80 some odd games win the division? And they were like, "You're crazy. It's going to be 90. Guess what? I might be right. I might be right.
Here's the sports that Hugh Lamont Douglas III knows more than anybody. Number 1, hockey. Number 2, baseball. Number 3, basketball, and then a smattering of football. Maybe.
Baseball. Oh yeah, baseball. Baseball in the hierarchy of sports that I know, baseball and hockey, they like this.
While we're on the subject, do you remember our first day working together at WIP?
I remember a couple of days. What was the first day like?
The first day was the drop third strike in the ALCS with the White Sox. I want to say it was AJ Przinsky at the plate. And I remember I was told, all right, go over this play with Hugh Douglas and just make sure he had seen it, because it was your first day and they didn't know if you would watch baseball or not. And I was like, here you go, man. Here's the rule. You can't drop a third strike. If you do, the runner at home plate can take first base or attempt to take first base. And I remember it was like I was diagramming a play for you, and I could just see the wheels turning and you're computing baseball for like the first time. And I'm just like, my man.
Hey, you know what's funny? True story. Even to this day. Because my co-host loves to get into the weeds when it comes to baseball. And I sit there. You got that. Dude, because sports is sports.
Yeah.
When you start talking about double switches and all the other good stuff, I'm going to sit like this. You bet.
Last thing for you, brother. We're in a crazy time in the NFL. So here's a little football for you. This is the like, hey, don't be an idiot time.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. What, you got like 50 some odd days?
Yeah.
Before the season starts, which
Mm-hmm.
is crazy. Yeah. You got like 50 something. So this is the time where, yeah, you just need to finish up your workouts and stay your butt out of trouble. Stay out the strip club. Stay out the strip club. If you have any issues with your significant other, make sure you keep everything, go on vacation. Do all the things that you need to do to make sure everybody at home is taken care of. Take care of your home. Don't do nothing. Yes.
That's free advice, kids. To all the athletes that watch this program.
Yes, it is.
That's free advice.
Take care of home. Take care of home.
Hugh Lamont Douglas III, 92-9, the game in Atlanta. Thanks for breaking down hoops. Thanks for breaking down. Well, we didn't really talk. Hey, what do you think of the Flyers next year? We covered it all. Hey, happy Hughes Day on this Wednesday, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. Hugh Lamont Douglas III, 92-9, the game in Atlanta. Peace out, Hugh.
Peace.
We have fun. We always we have fun, Hugh and I, as per usual. My thanks to Hugh Douglas joining us there on the Zatos Investments guest line on 92.9 The Game, co-host of the morning show down there in Atlanta. Here's, in relation to basketball, first and foremost, the news on Trae Young. I didn't know about a shoulder injury. And they talked to the GM of the Hawks, according to Hugh. They talked to him, and they have the opportunity to ask him questions. Nobody knew anything about Trae Young's shoulder injury and the severity of it, especially. And they see him come out for pregame warmups with a little wrap on, not the huge, ginormous, actually it was his right shoulder, not that huge, ginormous wrap that they saw with him on the sideline, sitting there on the bench midway through the first quarter, whatever it was, but the wrap that he had on throughout the game. And nobody had seen that before. Nobody had really seen that before. So that was news to everybody in Atlanta. And then he has the collision with Joel Embiid, I believe it was, on the perimeter. And that's where you saw him completely wrapped up like a mummy, pretty much, sitting on the Hawks bench later on. So that is interesting that Hugh brought that up, saying that they didn't even know about the shoulder injury with Trae Young. So here's the little back and forth that I've been having when it comes to Game 4. And as I've been thinking more about Game 5, tonight's Game 5 at 7:30 tonight, I've been looking at it and thinking, okay, their star wasn't healthy. Our star didn't appear healthy. The Sixers star had a horrible shooting night. Their star had a horrible shooting night. And it's just going to come down to, I feel, who remains healthy. And it's going to come down to who's just the overall better team. And as long as those two things are still the 76ers, and I believe they are, they're going to win this series. And they're going to win tonight, and they're going to cover tonight. I honestly think the MVP of tonight's game is going to be Clint Capella. And I'll tell you why. Clint Capella trash talked Joel Embiid in the press conference after the game. And if Joel Embiid is just healthy enough, he'll go out there and drop 35 tonight. And he'll also pull down another, 12, 13 rebounds. He'll hit a couple of threes for you tonight as well. That's the type of game I expect to see from Joel Embiid tonight. Solely because Clint Capella's like, as long as you get him tired, you can take advantage of him. I think Joel Embiid is going to be on top of his game tonight. As long as it's nothing serious with the knee, as long as it's nothing serious where he made anything worse in Game 4, Joel Embiid is going to go out there and spank the Hawks tonight. Not to the tune of Kevin Durant's game. No, by no means whatsoever. But by Joel Embiid's standard of 35 points, 12 rebounds, hit 2 threes, that whole thing. I think that's the type of game we're going to see from Joel Embiid tonight. I think we're going to see the typical performance that we have come to know and love from Tobias Harris, as I said earlier. And then it all comes down to basically Ben Simmons being aggressive and not having the post-game press conference of, yeah, maybe I should be more aggressive. Fond idea. We'll get more on that game in a second, as well as more around the NBA. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, in honor of Peacock, with the Phillies Giants series being on Peacock, coming up in just a minute, my Peacock impression. I know you're sitting there with bated breath, waiting for this. All right. Let's tell you real quick about our friends at DraftKings and DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Hopefully you're taking advantage of all things at DraftKings Sportsbook. First and foremost, if you haven't downloaded the app yet, what are you waiting for? Get in on all the action and make sure you use promo code Farzy. Download the app, Use promo code Farzy, and you're off and running. DraftKings Sportsbook putting you courtside with a chance to turn $1 into $100 in site credits. That's right. If you pick any basketball team that's still in contention, bet $1 on them to win. And if they win, you get $100 in site credits. How about that? Don't forget, DraftKings Sportsbook also offers great odds and promotions on baseball and hockey and so much more. DraftKings is safe, secure, reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free bets. Bet on a basketball team of your choice to win and their next game. And how about this? You'll win $100 on a $1 bet in site credits. That's promo code Farzy for limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Present in Pennsylvania. New customers only. Wager paid out in site credits. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And coming up, I will tell you the big bet that I made last night at the last minute that I ended up cashing out a couple of bucks on. So I'll tell you about that coming up in just a second. But right now, I do want to tell you about Steak in Maine. Steak in Maine in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you dine in a more upscale steakhouse or casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy the prime meats at Steak in Maine. Fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that and an extensive wine list as well that includes Cavada Cellars wines. You know what, my man Tony Cavada, you know what he did for me when I was down there? He said, Marc, here's a nice bottle of Cab. Cavada Cellars Cab. You take this home with you. And I said, you know what? You're a great man, Tony. How about that? He also gave me a couple cigars. I'm a cigar man. You can get a couple cigars. You can buy cigars right there at the bar. And he gave me a bottle of Cab. You know what? Last night we had the in-laws. My in-laws are over. My wife's parents are over, and we had a nice dinner and a nice meat. And you know what I did? I opened up that bottle of Cab, and we enjoyed it. It was delicious. So I suggest when you go to Steak in Maine, get a nice Cab, get a nice Pinot Noir with a steak, the Tomahawk 2-pounder that I enjoyed. Enjoy yourself. Every day, they're open for lunch, dinner, or Sunday brunch. Steak in Maine in the heart of Northeast Maryland, voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. Check it out for yourself at steakinmaine.com. And you know, while you're following all the great things going on in Philadelphia sports, make sure you're doing that with PHLSportsNation.com. You can check out our friends at PhiladelphiaSportsNation.com, a local Philadelphia sports site covering your favorite teams across blogs and social media. Philadelphia Sports Nation, PHLSportsNation.com, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. And while you're enhancing your experience as a fan, why not get involved in FanUp? I got a couple of more challenges in last night. You could get on the FanUp app. Download the FanUp app. It's like fantasy sports on steroids. It's just that great. You can talk trash with your friends. You can win gentlemen's bets on there that you create with your friends. You could go back and forth on there. You can win great brand prizes. You answer fun trivia questions, and you rise on their leaderboard. It is a good time. Download the FanUp app right now. Use promo code FanUp to get 2,000 bonus points just to start out with. That's FanUp on the app in the App Store. Download the FanUp app. You can win memorabilia, the brand prizes. It's super fun with daily and weekly contests, and you could, like I said, rise on their leaderboard, squat up with your friends. It is a great time. They gave away a pair of Jordans a couple of weeks ago, a Louis Vuitton bag, a Peloton bike, all that available at the FanUp app. Just be fans. Let's do our social media check-in brought to you by Steak in Maine and steakinmaine.com and see what the good people of Philadelphia are saying. Dan Schwartz, good morning to you, my friend. Much appreciated, as per always. Mally, we were a little worried about you. Apparently, Mally's out there working hard. If I'm you, Mally, I'd just say, hey, guys, you guys take over for me. I'm going to go listen to the Farzy show. But appreciate everyone just hanging out. He doesn't smoke weed, quote unquote. Edibles count. What? Huh. Impression time. Not yet. It's almost impression time. In our morning rush, we will get impression time. Right now, it's social media check-in time as I'm checking in socially with all you fine people. Rick is asking if you is a Atlanta Thrashers fan. Rest in peace. What else do we have? A lot of stuff going. Oh, there was some confusion about the start time of the Sixers game tonight. It is 7:30. It's not 8:30. Although lately I have noticed if you go on like ESPN, for instance, maybe it's just my computer, but maybe it's doing it for other people, it'll jump around the time zones. Like when I click initially on ESPN, it'll come up and say, for instance, tonight, 4:30 start time. And then you wait a second, and the site fully loads, and then it says 7:30, and I'm like, yeah, that's much better. But yeah, some people check that out. Dante is saying, shake my head, not right, but Farzy and a poodle is something I could see. That's for me alluding to Hugh Douglas that I would I would get a dog because I'm so scared if Joel Embiid doesn't play. This just came up last night while we were enjoying that fine cab from Steak and Maine. My in-laws, unfortunately, just had to put their dog down, Ellie. And they got Ellie about a year before my wife and I started dating. So I never had a pet in my life. We never had pets growing up. My parents always said, oh, we're in and out of the house. It's not fair to a dog. Who's going to walk the dog? Who's going to take care of it? We're always, out. We're not here. We're not around. And I hated that as a kid, but now as an adult, I'm like, well, an adult, quote unquote. I'm like, yeah, I totally get it. I wouldn't get a dog. So this is a dog-free house. I enjoy other people's pets. I love other people's pets. For me to have a pet, not happening. My wife has 2 cats. They are my roommates, and they don't respect my space, as I often say. But yeah, no dog in this house, unfortunately, which really sucks because, my daughter's going to be 2 in August, and she loves dogs. So they're really working on dad here to be like, oh, let's get a dog. And I'm like, no. I mean, they're great. And I encourage rescues. I encourage adoption. I encourage the SPCA, for instance, all great stuff. But just for me personally, I know I would not be good for a dog. So I'm doing the dog a favor. But certainly not a poodle. If it was a dog, I'd get a Rottweiler because I'm a damn man, people. I know people worried about Benny. Benny's back, so that's good. Not one to be scared. Thought was haunted. Totally was scared. Is that a reference to my haunted house? Because I've talked about this before, that my house, when I was first moving in, I heard footsteps above my head as I was moving boxes into the basement. Yeah. And I could have sworn it was our contractor, and nobody was upstairs. If you would have said, Mark, bet everything and your life savings on whether or not somebody is upstairs right now, I would have been like, that's a dumb bet. Absolutely. Plunk down life savings, go upstairs. I heard footsteps going over my head, and I came upstairs 3 different times. I heard the footsteps. Came upstairs, nobody here. So obviously that means there's a ghost here. We have more Mike Sealski comments in the comment section as per usual. I'm going to get Mike to I'm going to ask Mike just to record a 5-second hit where he just says, hey, I'm Mike Sealski, deal with it. And then we'll have some fun with that later. I had 3 dogs down to 1, 13 years old. Hard to get over. See, that's sad. That's just sad. Yeah, absolutely. Josh is saying adopt a dog. Absolutely adopt. If you can, absolutely. So there you go. Thanks for everyone that checked in there on our social media check-in. Brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Yeah. Kevin saying a 4:30 start time in the NBA would be great. I do. Thomas McKenna explains a lot about you, Farzy. What does that explain? Oh, never had a dog? Makes a lot of sense. What does that mean? That I'm some hard-hearted man because I never had a pet? I'll tell you, if we ever do have if we ever have our social media check-in live and in person, like we ever go out to a bar or whatever, all of us, oh man, I'll tell you a story. Oof. Well, get a couple, I'll have a couple of my Jack Daniels, and then we'll get all emotional. And I'll tell you when my wife, when we started dating, she had actually for the first 7 years we were together, she had this big fat black cat, 28 pounds, named Frankie. The thing looked like a damn panther. All right. Man, that was an experience. I'll just say the cat ain't around no more, unfortunately. But yeah. And now I'm going to get emotional. Anyway, that's a story when we're all together. But anyway, thanks to everyone that checked in on our social media check-in, brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. We did have a poll question go out, and I do want to make sure I give that its just due. And it was about who you want in the starting 5 tonight. It's Maxey, Tease, or Furkan Korkmaz. Maxey got 44% of the vote. Matisse Thybulle got 40% of the vote. Furkan Korkmaz, no Maz. No Maz. Some more. Okay, Dan, I did not kill Frankie. All right? Frankie, unfortunately, had some struggles. Oh, man, it was terrible. All I'll say is this. For all the pet people listening and watching this show right now, oh, man, newfound respect for, I mean, not that I ever, like when people tell you, oh yeah, we had to put the dog down or whatever, like something like that. When people tell you that and you're not a pet person, you're like, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. But then once you go through it, oh my God, horrific experience. Anytime somebody tells me that now, I just hug them. Even if they're not a hug person, I throw a hug on them. Anyway, so that's that. So let's not talk about depressing things. Thanks everybody that checked in there at our social media check-in, brought to you by Steak and Main at steakandmain.com. All right, without further ado, our morning rush. And our morning rush segment is brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Something for every budget. Here's what I got for you. The Phillies, they wrap up this series. They've lost 2 of the first 3 games against the Dodgers. Last night they lost 5-3. Zach Eflin actually pitched really well in his 5 innings of work. He got pulled in the 6th inning for a pinch hitter, Brad Miller. The Phillies put up a fight, which was nice to see, but they didn't win. Now they're going to wrap up the series today. Zach Wheeler is your starter. So in our big bet segment, I always like Zach Wheeler. You can bet a couple of balls and strikes, win a couple of dollars for yourselves. As I like to call Zach Wheeler, the ATM machine. So enjoy that tonight. But Zach Wheeler goes, and then they go to San Francisco to play a 3-game series with Gabe Kapler and the Dodgers. But here's the catch. It's not going to be on NBC Sports Philly. It's going to be streaming on Peacock. Peacock made a big push because now they got The Office. So people are enjoying The Office on Peacock. Now they're going to put the full series. And here's what I actually like. And here's a little nostalgia for you. My mom, as I mentioned many times, is from Baltimore. And we lived in that area for a couple of years when I was a little kid. We left Ambler. We lived in Rochester, New York for a little bit. Then we lived in Baltimore for a little bit. And then we moved back to this area. And I've been in the Philly area probably birth to 4. And then back from like 10 to present day. And I'll never forget. First off, I missed the hell out of Philadelphia. Even as a 4-year-old, I knew what I was missing. But I used to listen to John Miller on the radio all the time because he would do Orioles games. And John Kruk, I think, is going to share a booth with him. And Tom McCarthy is obviously going to be there as well. I can't wait to hear John Miller in the booth and listen to it on Peacock. Like, I can't wait for that. And obviously San Francisco is also a Comcast city, an NBC city. So you're going to have that simulcast, and I can't wait to hear. I'm pretty sure that's how they're working it. But without further ado, this is how I've said many times. Without further ado, in honor of the Phillies and the Giants being on Peacock, here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Here is I guarantee you, spot on Peacock impression. Hell! One more time. Hell! Right there. That last one was probably more accurate. Build yourself up a little bit. You might be saying to yourself, Mark, how the hell do you know how to do a sound of a peacock? Well, I'll tell you how you do the sound of a peacock. Your family owns a farm. You're not immediate family, but like my great uncle, my uncle Andy owned a farm, and on that farm he had 6 peacocks. Or peacock, as we refer to them as peacock people. That's not true. But anyway, my cousins and I have 21 cousins. All of us know how to do a spot-on peacock call, and that is the sound of a peacock. You are welcome. All right. Anyway, so the Phillies, they lost to the Dodgers. They got a 3-game series coming up with the Giants after tonight, and they wrap things up with the Dodgers. So, or with the Giants, they got a 3-game series, and they wrap things up with the Dodgers tonight. So there you go. Kevin Durant. I am not the biggest Kevin Durant fan in the world. However, I got to give credit where credit's due. He was incredible last night. Kevin Durant, 49 points, 10 assists, 17 rebounds, 16 of 23 shooting, 4 of 9 from beyond the arc. All that while James Harden went 1 for 10, 0 for 8 from beyond the arc for 5 points in his first game back since playing in the first minute of the series. How about that? I'm not a huge Kevin Durant fan, but credit where credit's due. That was nothing short of spectacular. That's one of the greatest playoff performances I've ever seen in any sport ever. In a single game, we have been in awe this year of Donovan Mitchell. We've been awe of Chris Paul. Devin Booker has certainly had some great games. Kawhi Leonard has had multiple games of shooting over 70% from the floor. But last night's game was one of the best playoff performances I've ever seen in any sport ever. And Kevin Durant stepped up on, we were talking about a big three and they're locked to win and all that stuff. He stepped up miraculously. Jeff Green, 7 of 8 from beyond the arc. He had 27 points for the Nets last night. It was incredible. And now the Nets have the series lead 3 games to 2, heading back to Milwaukee to close this one out. I mean, obviously, I'm hoping that the Bucks pull that win out and the series keeps on going. Give more time to the Sixers here. If the Sixers are going to go at least 6 games, you want them to go at least 6 games, maybe 7 games. But I just got to give the respect that Kevin Durant deserves for the output that he has last night. He was on that list. Oscar Robertson, Charles Barkley, of players with a 40, 15, and 10 night. At least 45 points, I believe it was. At least 10 assists and at least 15 rebounds. Absolutely incredible. If you missed that game, if you've been missing the playoffs other than the Sixers, this is some of the most fun I've had in a long time. Watching the Suns, I said already, is the most fun I've had watching a non-Philly team in the playoffs of the NBA since the Warriors' heyday. But this NBA playoffs in general has been amazing. Everything from Luka Doncic in the first round to the Nuggets getting eliminated by the Suns. Everything in this playoffs in the NBA has been amazing. A grudge match from the Bucks knocking off the Heat in the first round of the playoffs. This has been a great NBA playoff. So kudos to the NBA. And I know ratings are down again, but I've been enjoying the hell out of it because I really do enjoy basketball. And what they have done is nothing. It's just incredible. Also, Vince Wilfork in that story that we were talking about with Hugh Douglas. So after that interview, a story did come out when we recorded the interview. Story did come out about Vince Wilfork's son getting in trouble and, matter of fact, getting thrown off his college team because he was found with codeine in his car. So there's been issues in the past with him. And TMZ actually discovered that it was around $400,000. So I think the arrest was made and the police report was somewhere close to or exceeding $300,000. It turned out to be closer to $400,000. And I'll tell you right now, anytime I see a story where a parent dimes out a kid, I think to myself, yeah, that's exactly what Mr. and Mrs. Farzetta would do. Now, I don't even mean me. I mean, I would, but I don't even mean me. I mean Joey and Eleanor. I mean my parents. If God forbid, and I was never in that crowd for the people that for the people in the back that always like to tell me that all that stuff. No, I was a straight edge kid. For that, they would dime me out in a heartbeat. They would rat me out to the cops like you wouldn't believe it. And then they come to visit me while I'm in a holding cell and be like, this is what's best for you. This is, you put yourself in there. That would be their attitude. And Vince Wilfork, to his credit, that's the attitude. That's the direction that they actually took. Yeah, that's absolutely insane, people. Insane. So yeah, there was a history there for people that didn't see the rest of the story. It did come out later that's the story. I do want to give a shout out to the Flyers, Oscar Lindblom, the Masterson Memorial Trophy, basically comeback player of the year, shows courageousness in coming back from Ewing sarcoma, from cancer. I was watching every time I see the highlight of Oscar Lindblom walking down the hallway and ringing the bell. Oh man, you want to talk about getting misty-eyed, about getting emotional? I got emotional. Thomas, in case you missed it earlier, I was telling a story about Vince Wilfork. His son stole his Super Bowl rings and stole like a ring he had from Miami and a couple $100,000 worth of jewelry as well. And he got arrested for it. Vince Wilfork found out because a Patriots fan was on a memorabilia bidding website, saw the rings from Vince Wilfork, and like got in touch somehow with Vince Wilfork, being like, hey man, are these real? And Vince Wilfork's like, what are you talking about? He was getting ready to move, packing up his stuff, noticed the rings were missing, noticed the jewelry was missing, and that's how he found out. They did some digging. It turns out the person that put them on the memorabilia website bought them from Vince Wilfork's son, who sold it to the man for $62,000, and then they arrested Vince Wilfork's son. How amazing is that? Absolutely unreal. Also want to reference Joel Embiid, second team All-NBA. That's incredible. He's now eligible for the Supermax. So Joel Embiid's 27 years old right now. His contract takes him another 2 years, so 2029. Then 4 more years after that. It would take him until he's about 33, 34 years old. Would you sign up right now for another 7 years? 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Another 6, 7 years of Joel Embiid. Would you? I am. I don't care. Let's party. I want that guy here as long as humanly possible. I know everyone wants to write him off after a couple of years. I'm not doing that. I am signing up for this. I am ready to party. He is eligible for that because he makes the second team All NBA, so he's now eligible for the Super Max deal, which essentially is a 6-year contract extension. Would you give Joel Embiid a 6-year contract extension? This guy would. Let's party till you're 33 years old. What else did I want to get to last night? I mentioned Zach Eflin. That's our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Let's jump now to our big bet segment. April's in the chat. April, what's happening? All right. Here's what I got for you. Big bets brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Here's what happened. I believe it was in the third inning of last night's Phillies game, and I'm betting balls and strikes, which is a party. And like I said, my father-in-law is over, so he's sitting next to me on the sofa, and I said, hey there, Frank, you want to have yourself a good time here? You want to bet balls and strikes with me? And he goes, what? And I said, yeah, you want to bet balls and strikes? And he goes, okay. And he loves baseball. So I go, all right, do you think the second pitch to the second batter of this inning will be a ball, a strike, or in play? And we were going back and forth, and he actually did. So he did pretty well. But here's the beautiful moment. Zach Eflin is due up. You have runners on first and second. Believe it was nobody out. Zach Eflin's due up. So I think ahead, and I go, wait a minute. And I hardly ever bet in play. I generally just bet strike. But what's going to happen in that scenario? A pitcher coming up with runners on first and second, nobody out, he's going to bunt. So what's going to happen? The ball's going to be in play. So I real quick throw $5 on it. I know I'm a heavy hitter. And big roller here. I throw $5 on it. It paid out at $47. So I made myself $42 on that one little bet. Just like that. Somebody's having a good night, ladies and gentlemen. I also, what was the other bet I made? I made another bet last night. The over in the third quarter of Nets and Bucks. It was at 58, which I thought was high. They ended up getting around 60 points in that. So it ended up hitting. I know that. So that was a big bet I made last night. As for tonight, Sixers minus, last I saw it was minus 6.5 going into tonight's game against the Hawks. I like the Sixers right there at the minus 6.5. I like them to cover that at home. And I'm going to be paying attention to what the props are surrounding Joel Embiid. I'll look for what his number is. Let me see if I can find that for you. Because I looked at it before the show. It wasn't up yet. But Joel Embiid over under into tonight's game. I wanted to see if I could grab that for y'all's people. Yeah, Sixers right now minus 6.5 going into tonight's game. And I'm trying to find player props, game lines, and all that fun stuff. And I don't have it yet. I think it had come out yet. Let me just look up one more thing. Bada boom, bada bing. Nothing. Okay, so that'll be up later today. So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I like the Sixers, like I said, minus 6.5. You can get them at right now going into tonight's game against the Hawks. I'll be paying attention because I think Joel Embiid is going to go just bonkers tonight, folks. I can't wait. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. One more time for you. Hell! You're welcome. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Hopefully, we're talking about a 76ers win tomorrow, where they go to Atlanta and finish out this series. Let's hope that's the case. My thanks to Jim Hyden, who produced the program. Also, there's a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production from the Steven Singer Studios. My name is Marc Farzy. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take it easy.